Okay, we'll call this meeting to order. It's Monday, July 7th at 5 p.m. I'd like to welcome everyone to our city council meeting. And if you'll please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, Deb.
Harley.
Here.
Rodney.
Here.
Rodney.
Here.
Jessica. Here. Don.
Here.
Cass. Here.
Entertain a motion to approve today's agenda.
So moved.
A motion from Harley, second from Don. Any discussion? Roll please, Deb.
Harley.
Yes.
Rodney.
Yes.
Rodney.
Yes.
Jessica.
Yes.
Don.
Yes.
Cass.
Yes.
Motion carried. Across the mayor's desk, want to again thank Flynn McCann for videographer today. And then just to let you know that I and 5 other mayors that are associated with the Des Moines River watershed that Algona is, we're invited to participate in the Iowa Mayor's Design Workshop with students from the College of Design on the ISU campus, and that's going to take place a little bit later this week. That 2.5-day workshop will highlight design opportunities for the Peck property through their eyes and how it ties into our overall park plan, our trail system, the river, and the economic development for Algona. So it gives us an opportunity also to use ISU's resources in the future if we so choose to do that. So a month ago, the ISU design team came to Algona, and Jacob and I showed them around Veterans Park and the Peck property, and then showed them the visioning plan that we had in 2006 and 2022. So I'm looking forward to this unique experience, and we'll see how we can associate their ideas with ours. So, anyone else have anything that they would, council would like to share? Okay, we'll move to an update from the city administrator.
What about this coming week, Mayor?
Founder's Day, that's right. I'm sorry.
Well, that's okay,
Yes.
that's why you have the city attorney here.
Yes, big activities for several days and some changes coming up with Founder's Day. We've got the car show coming up, and probably Jacob was going to say something. He's got the schedule up there, so yeah.
I'll let you have the honors.
Oh, yeah, no, let's see, what are some changes that, the Art in the Park is on Friday and Saturday both. And we have a pro wrestling show on Saturday night downtown at 8 o'clock. Along with the car show on Friday, the Shrine Car Show, Kids Bash. So lots of good activities. Of course, a couple of good bands on Friday night.
Parade run is different.
Parade route's a little bit different. Going to start on a little bit on McGregor, but also on Harlan Street. Go up Harlan Street to Call, over and then down Thornton. So, always lots of activities, and it's a fun weekend. So enjoy it.
The schedule and all the list of events are on our website. The Chamber, who's the lead sponsor for the program, or this year's event, they're sharing a bunch of stuff. So anyone's wondering about what's going on, you can find it on the City or Chamber's website.
And there are plenty of those schedules that are distributed throughout the community as well. Have anything else, Jacob, you'd like to contribute?
I was going to give an update on the street project, but we've got Matt Cole with Fulton Mink, who's on site today. So he's got the latest and greatest updates. So I'll let him give up that we're on the Nebraska-Torrington Street project.
Thank you, Jacob. The sanitary sewer has been completed in phase 1, which is all of Thorrington Street. They're starting to work on water main. They did removals on McGregor and Thorrington, the south end of the project. Today, going to start working on water main tomorrow. There is a water shutdown scheduled for 2 blocks of McGregor Street only, between Hall and Dodge, for tomorrow morning. And then they'll work their way up Thorrington with the water main. The grading crew is also working on the parking lot currently. All electric conduit and bases are in the parking lot for the new construction, and then they'll run drain tile and stored aggregate for the permeable pavers, get all the grading done and they can start bringing in their concrete and hardscape surfaces in the parking lot to get that back open in a couple months. Moving forward, they're gonna be working on water main for probably a couple weeks, and then jump to storm sewer and get all Thornton Street put back together before they start tearing up any more of Nebraska Street. So that's kind of an update on that. Any questions on the street project at all so far?
Pretty much on schedule yet?
Yeah, there's been, several days of rain, but the contractor is pretty happy with where they're at to date, and like I said, they're gonna start water main, and that fits in with their original proposed schedule pretty well, so.
Good.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Matt.
Construction logistics seem to be going well, and appreciate the cooperation and coordination with all the downtown businesses as well as their patrons, and accommodating us during the downtime, so.
Move to agenda item number 7, this is the citizens' opportunity to address the council with any item that's not on the agenda. Anyone here that would like to speak? Seeing no one, will move into the consent agenda, and that includes approving the minutes from our June 16th council meeting, our minutes from the June 30th special council meeting that we had, approve the bills to be paid to Cycle, approve a Class E retail alcohol license for the Chrome Truck Stop, approve a Class C retail alcohol license for the Algona VFW, approve a Class E retail alcohol license for One Stop Shop, and approve the minutes from the June 4th as well as the June 18th Planning and Zoning Commission meetings that were held. Move to approve.
Second.
Motion from Harley, second from Kathy. Any discussion? Vote please, Deb.
Harley.
Yes.
Brad.
Yes.
Rodney.
Yes.
Jessica. Yes. Don.
Yes.
Kathy. Yes.
Motion carried. We'll move to agenda item number 9. This is a public hearing and it's 5:07. And we will open this public hearing, and this is public hearing regarding zoning regulations.
So this public hearing regards 2 proposed ordinance amendments on zoning regulations that are on this night's agenda. So I'll just go through them individually. The first one deals with accessory dwelling units. Both of these ordinances are in response to recent state law changes. But we currently have an accessory dwelling unit ordinance on our books. So this ordinance proposed basically repeals that and then adopts new accessory dwelling unit regulations in accordance with state law, which ADUs are now by right. And so as long as the conditions are met with state law, and so we've matched that. Some of those highlights include the maximum area is 1,000 square feet or 50% of the principal structure, having at least 1 off-street parking, connected to all public utilities, and then the building permit application fee approval process for ADUs would be the same as it is for single-family residential structures. The second ordinance deals with Board of Adjustment authorities, and Board of Adjustment traditionally had 3 authorities: administrative review, they could grant special exception, and then grant variances. So they still have those 3 authorities, but a 4th one that was added was variance to address practical difficulties. So this is things like if it's an odd lot size in terms of setbacks, anything to do with kind of height, setbacks, and the requirements for minimum lot size, bulk, sidewalks, fencing, signage, off-street parking, when literal enforcement would cause a practical difficulty for someone looking to improve that property. So again, we're proposing to adopt to match state code changes on that as well.
And we haven't had any public input.
We have not received any public comments in response to the notices.
Anyone present that would like to comment about this?
I just had a question. I wondered, Jake, could you just generally tell us in layman's terms what's the difference in those accessory dwelling units? I suppose what they're talking here is a small unit in the backyard, maybe formerly known as honeymoon cabin or mother-in-law's house or
Yeah.
something like that.
Granny flat, yeah.
It's making those
So the city cannot limit those, the state mandated that anybody can put those in now.
Correct, and we had a couple of years ago adopted an ordinance to allow for ADUs as, we need for housing, and they need to be, accessory, as the name implies, to the principal residential structure. But this would apply to all of our residential zoning districts. And so they're really just a smaller secondary home on the lot of, the principal house. The thinking on that they're subordinate, similar to like what a garage would be in terms of placement, things like that. And that's why there's also size restrictions on those in terms of being 1,000 feet or 50% of the principal structure. So another way to look at it is just kind of a detached duplex on single-family lots. But overall, I think it's a good change that the state put in terms of the intent behind it, of that, we have a housing need as a state. This is a way to make sure that all jurisdictions are facilitating that type of housing.
So this overrules any, what do they call, neighborhood covenants or whatever that would be out there, or doesn't it?
I would not be the expert to speak on how this might affect homeowners associations.
Yeah.
That'd be a private contract at that point. But from a zoning and land use perspective from the city, those are items that are private contracts among the joint property owners, and so there's things that are permitted by our code, but by that homeowners association aren't permitted. But I won't be able to speak specifically of how this applies to ADUs, but it's a good question to follow up on.
Paul, could you weigh in on that, how HOAs, or maybe correct me if I'm wrong in this. An HOA has restrictive covenants that would go beyond what your city may do.
Correct.
So an HOA could decide that, no, they're not allowed here in this area, and by owning a piece of property in that, you agree to live by those restrictive covenants.
Because when you buy that lot in that HOA, your abstract would show that. So it's not like some owner can say, well, wait a minute, I didn't know this, or et cetera, but I would agree with what Brad said.
Anybody else have any questions? Okay, it's 5:13, and we will close that public hearing. Move to agenda item number 10. And that also is a public hearing, and it's 5:13. We will open this public hearing. It's on the proposed sale of city real estate.
Back in April, the city acquired a property at 920 North Minnesota. It was a dilapidated property, abandoned, it said empty, it had old roof, it was full of mold and mildew. We advertised for bids in June, sealed bids to purchase the property, with bids being due June 27th. We received one bid in the amount of $1,000 to purchase the property, and they will tear it down and restore the land back to grass.
Okay. Is there anyone here that would like to speak to that? Come up and identify yourself if you would, please.
You bet. Randy Reel. I live on 1000 North Minnesota. Before I get started, I've got these pictures. And for those of you who may have not had a time to drive down and see the actual property we're talking about, you can go through them, and they're labeled as to what views are involved. And so while you're looking at those, the first thing I'd like to do is thank Devere Adams. He's worked very hard to get this resolved and to save the city as much money as possible. And so I think you guys really need to give him some applause sometimes. So he's doing a good job. I appreciate it, Devere. Secondly, we will start on the house. I have a dumpster coming on Tuesday. I'll have a roll-off dumpster, and we'll begin that. And the next thing I'd like to do is thank you guys and the city council for helping get this through. And we really appreciate it on North Minnesota. There's several people that, Rick knows and some of you know that it's been a concern. And so I'm glad we're getting it resolved. The last thing I do want to say is just a slight suggestion. If you do have the opportunity to drive down the last few blocks of North Minnesota, I was going to tell you to drive down at about 30 miles an hour, but that's 5 miles over the speed limit. So, but just drive 25 miles an hour down that street and you'll kind of get the idea of what we've been dealing with our street. And Veer says it's starting to move up forward, so I'm hoping that gets resolved. Thank you.
Thank you.
Randy,
Yeah.
there's a vehicle in these pictures. Do you inherit that too?
I inherited that also,
Okay.
yeah. We've been staring at that vehicle now for over 4 years in the driveway, and you see the last picture is the deck that we built. We put a lot of time, money, and effort to make our house as nice as possible, and there's a lot of times in the summertime, if the wind's blowing out of the southwest, we can't sit out there because of the mildew and musty odors. Okay. All right. Thanks.
Thank you.
And what's the time span to demolish the house and?
The agreement on the real estate contract is within 6 months.
6 months.
I think.
Yeah.
Well,
We'll be starting immediately.
Yeah.
Sure, yeah. Okay.
So
Thanks, Randy.
the garage will go first, and then after that, the house itself.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, and thank you for taking the initiative to want
Well, you've been there, so
I am.
you know.
That's why, thank you, yeah.
Thank you.
Happy to give you more grass tomorrow.
Okay, it's 5:17, then we will close that public hearing, and we will move to agenda item number 11 under new business. This is the first reading of an ordinance regarding the Board of Adjustment.
So that's all.
ADUs.
Yes, I had them switched around on my memo, so I
Oh.
apologize for that. So the first reading on the accessory dwelling units amendment, that we just had the public hearing on. Unless you'd like me to dive into it more, I won't repeat myself. We're just proposing to do the first reading, amending that code.
Motion to waive the first reading on the ordinance 17.4.1, or 160.
Second.
Motion from Rodney, second from Don, to waive this first reading. Any discussion? Roll please, Deb.
Harley.
Yes.
Brad.
Yes.
Rodney.
Yes.
Jessica.
Yes.
Don.
Yes.
Kathy. Yes.
Motion carried.
Motion to approve the first reading.
Second.
Motion and second to approve the first reading. Any discussion? Roll call, Deb.
Harley.
Yes.
Brad.
Yes.
Rodney.
Yes.
Jessica.
Yes.
Don.
Yes.
Kathy. Yes.
Motion carried. Now is the first reading of the ordinance regarding the Board of Adjustment. Is that, okay?
Same as what was discussed during the public hearing. This adds the new authority to grant a variance when this literal enforcement presents practical difficulties for development.
Motion to waive the first reading.
Second.
Motion from Rodney, second from Jessica to waive the first reading. Any discussion? Roll please, Deb.
Harley.
Yes.
Brad.
Yes.
Rodney.
Yes.
Jessica.
Yes.
Don.
Yes.
Kathy. Yes.
Motion carried.
Motion to approve the first reading.
Second.
Motion and a second to approve the first reading. Any discussion? Roll please, Deb.
Harley.
Yes.
Brad.
Yes.
Rodney.
Yes.
Jessica.
Yes.
Don.
Yes.
Kathy. Yes.
Motion carried. Agenda item number 13, this is a resolution approving the sale of city-owned real estate.
Once again, this is for 920 North Minnesota. How this will all work is Randy has already paid $500 with his offered reply. As long as you guys approve it, once the house and garage are torn down and the property restored with grass, et cetera, he'll pay the other $500. And at that time, the city will give him a quick claim deed. He has also agreed to pay the recording fees of the deed over at the courthouse, which amounts to almost $200.
Move to approve?
Second.
Motion from Harley, second from Jessica. Any discussion? Vote please, Deb.
Harley.
Yes.
Brad.
Yes.
Rodney.
Yes.
Jessica.
Yes.
Don.
Yes.
Kathy. Yes.
Motion carried. Again, thank you, Randy.
Thank you.
Agenda item number 14, this is regarding the two 2025 general obligation bonds.
This and the next agenda item deal with our 2025 debt issuance or GO bond issuance. So this first resolution appoints UMB Bank as the entity that's going to facilitate the transaction, more or less, acting as the registrar, or payment agent, and transfer agent for sale of the 2025 general obligation bonds, which is scheduled to close on July 23rd. The amount to be borrowed, the par amount is $4,675,000, along with a premium that brings us just shy of $4.8 million.
Move to approve.
Second.
A motion from Brad, second from Jessica. Any discussion? Vote please, Deb.
Harley.
Yes.
Brad.
Yes.
Rodney.
Yes.
Jessica.
Yes.
Don.
Yes.
Kathy. Yes.
Motion carried. And like Jacob said, agenda item number 15 is also concerns the general obligation bonds.
So this resolution authorizes the actual loan agreement and issuance of the 2025 GO bonds. Just a reminder on what we're using those for, and set forth in this resolution is up to $2.37 million for street, sidewalk, lighting, and related street improvements, up to $930,000 for constructions and improvements and equipment of the new street department building, up to $930,000 for parking lot improvements at Nebraska Street and Thornton Street, and then up to $810,000 for urban renewal improvements, which for this debt issuance consists of the Nebraska Thornton Street reconstruction project. So the resolution sets forth all our certifications and terms of the loan, then commits the city obviously to make those loan payments over the 20-year term. It has a few different drop-offs in there, but the true interest cost of the loan with all the various credits and things like that with the par amount is 4.15% over those 20 years.
Motion to approve resolution.
Second.
Motion from Rodney and second from Jessica. Any discussion? Vote please, Deb.
Harley.
Yes.
Brad.
Yes.
Rodney.
Yes.
Jessica.
Yes.
Don.
Yes.
Kathy. Yes.
Motion carried. Agenda item number 16 pertains to the South Oak subdivision.
On June 18th, P&Z met to discuss and approve the final plat for South Oaks subdivision. Custom Concrete is the developer of the property. There was a waiver for water and sewer, as the properties will have wells and septic out there, as well as a private drive. P&Z recommended approval of the final plat if it was amended to include a cul-de-sac at the end of the road for emergency vehicles mostly. Levi Pachira, owner of Custom Concrete, has amended the final plat. It's up on the TV, and so now we're here with the resolution for you guys to approve his final plat. Then it will go to the county for approval because he's 2 miles outside the city limits, so he's within that 2 miles.
With that final plat approves a subdivision agreement that if the city ever were to like to annex the subdivision in the future, that it agrees to do so voluntarily, if and when we ever, as we grow, ever get that far south.
So I guess the one issue I see with this is it's considered a private, not a street, a private drive.
Correct.
So if that would ever be annexed into the city.
It is being
up to the
constructed
street.
according to CDOT specs, as a city street,
It is.
but with no curb and gutter on it. So there is enough, correct me if I'm wrong, Levi, there is enough right-of-way on that street where if it is ever annexed into the city, they can put curb and gutter and storm sewer along the road,
Okay,
correct?
yeah, I know we've just gotten into that problem before, so I want to be prepared for that.
And also, if they're ever if they ever are annexed into the city, it's in the agreement that they will have to hook to city water. Once it's out there, they will have to hook to city sewer, et cetera, once it's available to them.
Okay,
On the 31-foot wide private drive that's going in there, there's a 21-foot easement on either side of that that would be reserved and have plenty of room to construct, form a curb and put on names.
okay.
And is one side was residential, one side possibly industrial, or is that what? or how-
It's like light manufacturing, I believe, or light industrial, more for some businesses or man caves, et cetera.
Okay. Gotcha.
Thanks for cleaning up that out there
Oh, yeah.
and reinvesting and offering up some vision because it's so much better now than what it was. So we
Yeah.
appreciate it.
I'll go than a couple of trailers sitting out there, that's for sure.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion from Harley, second from Brad, to approve this resolution. Any other discussion? Vote please, Deb.
Harley.
Yes.
Brad.
Yes.
Rodney.
Yes.
Jessica.
Yes.
Kevin.
Yes.
Kathy.
Yes.
Motion carried. Agenda item number 17 is a resolution approving professional services agreement.
It came to my attention that there is a TSIP grant out there with the state of Iowa, where we can apply to get new traffic signals or updated traffic signals. I'll let Matt talk a little bit more about the procedure and what all we have to do.
Sure, thank you, Bart. Yeah, so with that TSIP, Traffic Safety Improvement Program, it's a DOT program to get dollars for signals in small towns. And with that, we need to do a traffic study, basically justifying that the signals and the improvements are warranted at any given intersection that is signalized. So the first task in your printed agenda proposal is the traffic study service. We're going to be looking at the Call Street and 169 intersection along with the Jones State 169 intersection. There's been some maintenance issues on the Call Street one. We just added the State Street one because there isn't cameras on that currently to sync the traffic lights and change the signal sequence like there is on the ones on Phillips Street and McGregor along the south end of 169. So with that, the traffic study services will do the traffic counts, the turning movements, safety, crash history, investigation, and then make sure that the DOT will justify spending money on signals that are warranted for those two intersections. We think they both are with the amount of traffic on Call Street and obviously the 169 turning movement there. And then if you choose to have us prepare the TSIP application, that would be task 2. We can get approval after the task 1 is completed, and that will basically prepare the application, the narrative, the cost estimate, the figures, all the stuff that's required with the application itself. They are due on August 15th. So we would like to get started on the traffic study as soon as possible to get the counts and the signal warrant calculations approved, and then we can get a draft to the city in early August to get that in on the 15th.
Those lights have been in since the late 70s, early 80s, and they're the pressure plate type of light, so it doesn't analyze the traffic, and it just goes by pressure. If car pulls up, it'll change the light, and the one on Call Street, the pressure plate's starting to go down.
So yeah, it'll save you panel replacement and pressure plate replacement on Call Street if you just go to cameras, basically, like the other intersections in town.
more expensive option, but that's why I can get this grant to fund it.
Yep.
Which is up to $500,000 per award. I think the state has about $5 to $6 million a year annually.
Yep, it is a competitive grant, but that's why you have to justify that the DOT is spending their money, you know, at a signal that warrants it, so.
And another nice option is the PD will have access to those cameras, so they can see what's going on at those intersections.
So the police department or city hall you take care of those intersections? Like McGregor and Phillips, they're the one there.
We don't have cameras on them.
You don't have,
Well, if we do, we don't have access to it.
Oh, well, we should get access because there's cameras on the McGregor and 169 intersection.
yeah. Because that one, I know if there's a problem, it reverts back to just kind of a standard change. Sometimes it seems like it's working great, of course, that's when I'm coming up to it and it changes green. But then there's other times when I'm sitting there and somebody's sitting on one of the other ones and it still cycles through the one where nobody's there. So
Yeah.
it makes me wonder.
It will do this full cycle, but some of those cycles are shorter than the other cycles.
Okay. Well, give us one first.
Yeah, and all the work will be done through your signal sub, which is general traffic, which does all the maintenance and all the work in town. So we're literally just doing the traffic study and the application to see if the city can get some grant dollars.
Knowing from the previous experience, whenever we've opened up traffic controls, they're very dated. And so it's like, well, if we're after going to this one, there's a good chance we're going to find a bunch of other stuff that's, you know, had its life expectancy than some.
Yeah, updating the control panels and the wiring and all that stuff, along with the cameras, is expensive. Pedestrian improvements potentially too, the new push button locations and all that, so.
Good.
Any other questions? All right, thank you.
Thank you, man.
Motion to approve the professional service agreement for traffic control devices.
Second.
Motion from Rodney, second from Don. Any other discussion? Vote please, Deb.
Harley.
Yes.
Brad.
Yes.
Rodney.
Yes.
Jessica. Yes. Don.
Yes.
Kathy.
Yes.
Motion carried. Agenda item number 18 is a resolution approving a settlement agreement.
This is an agreement with Casey's for a failed tobacco check violation for selling a tobacco nicotine product, first offense to someone under the age of 21. So this agreement acknowledges that, and then for a $300 fine. Paul, if you have anything to add?
It's been paid. Yeah, so, yeah.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion from Harley, second from Jessica. Any discussion? Vote please, Deb.
Harley.
Yes.
Brad.
Yes.
Rodney.
Yes.
Jessica. Yes. Don.
Yes.
Kathy.
Yes.
Motion carried. Agenda item number 18, this is a resolution concerning wages and benefits for the police department.
It's based on our special council meeting the other Monday. We've updated the wage and benefits section for the FY26 year for the police department. Highlighting kind of some of those changes. After we did this last round of hiring, we had no viable candidates come out of that. We currently have 2 vacancies, which will become 3 once Officer Gatton switches over to the SRO role in August. So it's important that we look at kind of our approach on how we're hiring as well as what we're offering to ensure that we recruit and retain candidates. So with that, we've done a $2.15 across the board increase for the wage matrix. A new benefit that is established is a residency stipend. This is an idea that we found in some other communities that seem to be successful. So there's now a $3,000 residency stipend for officers who live within city limits. It also changes how we handle certified officers' years of experience, whereas before we gave half credit for experience in other departments. for where they get placed on the wage matrix when starting with the city. Under this new system, they'll get full credit for those, with the highest step being replaced at step 4 to start out with. We maintain our signing bonus for certified officers of $5,000, but we did shorten the payout period on that. It's paid in 6 and 12 and 24-month increments. And then we did establish a new referral bonus program that would be for any regular employee, so it wouldn't necessarily have to be a police officer, but anyone who refers an applicant to a police officer position, that ultimately that applicant is hired. They would receive a $5,000 referral bonus paid out the same schedule as the signing bonus for a certified officer would be. So between, I'll say the conditions of that are that they have to give notice before the interview that I referred this candidate, or the candidate said this person referred me, so it's not after the fact saying, oh, by the way. And then the chief of police and the city administrator are not eligible for that program, since those positions make hiring decisions. And so we're hoping between a combination of these, as well as kind of a different targeted approach on our advertising, we'll be able to fill some of those vacancies and ready to get this job posted here tomorrow, if this is approved.
So a new hire potentially, if they were referred, we could be given the 5,000 to the new hire and then 5,000 to the person that referred them?
Correct.
Okay.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion from Don, second from Kathy. Any other discussion?
We have to amend the budget then eventually down the road?
Yeah, we will.
Yeah.
Until we start building those numbers. up.
Past that, yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, we certainly will.
All right.
Any other discussion? Vote please, Deb.
Harley?
Yes.
Brad?
Yes.
Rodney?
Yes.
Jessica? Yes. Don?
Yes.
Kathy?
Yes.
Motion carried. Agenda item number 20 this is a resolution approving contribution to the Cassuth County Fairgrounds Grandstand Capital Campaign.
So, following up on the request made by the Fair Board, it was discussed at the Ways and Means Committee, and then at the special council meeting we had last Monday. But based on the input I heard from council, prepared this, which gives the city for a public purpose of tourism, recreation, cultural, economic development, agrees to give $100,000 to the capital campaign for the grandstand project. 50,000 of that will come from local option sales tax, and 50,000 of that will come from hotel motel tax, paid out over a total of 5 years between those two funding sources. So the resolution makes that commitment and then authorizes the mayor to negotiate and execute a contract with the Fair Board to effectuate the resolution. A draft of that proposed agreement was attached.
Move to approve.
Second?
Motion from Harley, second from Jessica to approve this resolution. Any discussion?
So the first one will come out of this year's budget? I mean,
Yeah, we'll do an amendment for that one too, and then so we'll do the $50,000 lost in FY26, and then $12,500 a year out of hotel motel from FY27 through FY30.
okay.
Any other discussion? Vote please, Deb.
Harley?
Yes.
Brad?
Yes.
Rodney?
Yes.
Jessica? Yes. Don?
Yes.
Kathy?
Yes.
Motion carried. Agenda item number 21 concerns the approval of street closures for Founder's Day and the Chamber of Commerce Ridiculous Day.
For Founder's Day's coming up on July 11th. As was mentioned earlier, kind of big events that evening will be the car show, followed by the band on State Street as well. So this is similar to last year's layout, but so we'll have the 3 blocks of State Street closed on Friday and kind of tee off as well to the alleys. And then once the car show's done around 7, that'll open back up, kind of depending on how it clears out. And then just that one block of State Street will remain closed for the concert that evening. And then on Saturday, State Street will reopen Saturday morning. And then come in for in the afternoon, be closed for the bags tournament and to set up for the wrestling on State Street that evening.
Then the agenda item talks about ridiculous day too.
Yep, and on that, a little bit change of plans, I'm talking with the chamber. They're not gonna be requesting any street closures for ridiculous days or any parking areas to be closed, just with the limited parking area we have downtown. So good plan, what they'd like to see is for the city to approve for vendors to set up on the sidewalks with their products. And the condition of that would be that they maintain a 4-foot clearance for ADA on the sidewalks downtown. So no actual street closures on that, just to approve closing or setting up merchandise on sidewalks provided they maintain enough width.
Motion to approve street closures.
Second.
Motion from Rodney, second from Kathy. Any discussion? Vote please, Deb.
Harlan.
Yes.
Brad.
Yes.
Rodney.
Yes.
Jessica.
Yes.
Don.
Yes.
Kathy.
Yes.
Motion carried. Agenda item number 22, approves a pay application for the airport runway extension paving and lighting improvement project.
This is pay application number 2. This is for materials stored. It is in the amount of $28,351.26. It is for lighting and electrical equipment. The contractor has provided proof of it being in possession of photos as well as insurance on the equipment. And so recommend approval of that as they kind of assemble all the parts and pieces to be ready to go when the runway closes here in August to begin construction.
Motion to approve pay application number 2.
Second.
Motion from Rodney, second from Don to approve this pay application. Any discussion? Vote please, Deb.
Harlan.
Yes.
Brad.
Yes.
Rodney.
Yes.
Jessica.
Yes.
Don.
Yes.
Kathy.
Yes.
Motion carried. Agenda item number 23 pertains to zoning regulations and special exceptions.
It's come to our attention that in our downtown central general business district, if a business wants to expand and take up their entire lot, they are not allowed to buy or purchase a lot, an empty lot, and build a parking lot. So we would like P&Z to look at the central general business district to allow a parking lot on a lot downtown by special exception. That way we can regulate what's going on. We have a business that wants to expand. Once they expand, they have nowhere for their employees to park, so they'll be parking in the street, which is not a good solution to this. The other portion that we would like to see referred to planning and zoning is, when I was discussing things with Paul, we have zoning districts that allow certain places, special exceptions like hospitals, daycares, schools, etc., in residential areas, or actually in a lot of our zoning districts. And most of our zoning districts read that public, parochial, private schools and colleges, children's homes, public, semi-quasi-public buildings can have a sign. But if you allow a hospital, a healthcare facility, a golf course, or anything like that in any of our zoning districts, according to the way our zoning code is written, they're not allowed to have a sign at all. But when you go to the Board of Adjustment powers and duties, it states signs in all districts for uses permitted as special exceptions. So all of these things I listed were special exception permitted. Signs will be allowed only through the Board of Adjustment approval. So it's kind of a ambiguous which one do you look at? So we want P and Z to look at this and come up with a good solution, basically. Also on, in our regular zoning code, when you talk about signs, certain places are allowed a 6 square foot sign, some are a 32 square foot sign. Churches are only allowed a 24 square foot sign. So we kind of wanted to look at it and just kind of make things standard.
I would also add, because it's such a large area, the real estate for lease and for sale signs were only limited to 6 square feet. So might consider bumping that a little bit, because even a 4x4 sign for lease, if it's on a big enough building, or for sale should be acceptable, but technically you couldn't do that.
What size would you like it to be increased to? Because you're correct, there is a restriction.
I mean, there's pretty common signs 8x4.
So you would like that to go to 32 square feet also?
I think that'd be fair.
We will talk about it.
It does seem sensible that we would have more standard rules that everybody can live with, so we wouldn't have to go to the Board of Adjustment. I think we'd get more consistency. So,
Well, and, yeah, the discrepancy of, the zoning code says you can't have it, the Board of Adjustment says we can approve it. Which way do we go?
Yeah. Yeah, the Board of Adjustment should just be very rare, odd situations they'd have to approve. Now, the first one of those parking lots, I'm sorry, I didn't really follow that.
Okay.
It's like a building that already has parking behind it.
Right, we have a
wants to
building.
expand into that.
We have a building that has a parking lot behind it for the employees. They want to expand. They want to purchase a lot across the street that has a home on it that's going to be torn down. So they can build a parking lot for their employees or customers, patrons, whatever. Our zoning code does not allow an empty lot or a one lot to have a private parking lot on it. A public parking lot you can, but not a private parking lot. So to build a private parking lot, you have to have a main structure on the lot. So we are proposing to P and Z to change the language to allow a single parking lot alone without a primary structure by special exception only.
Okay, yeah, because they wouldn't want that across the street from me or something.
Right, we don't want parking lots to fill our downtown, but there are some reasons why maybe we should allow them.
Okay. Yeah, I'd move to refer that to P and Z.
Second.
Motion from Harley, second from Jessica. Any other discussion? Vote please, Deb.
Harley?
Yes.
Brad?
Yes.
Rodney?
Yes.
Jessica?
Yes.
Don?
Yes.
Catherine?
Yes.
Motion carried. Agenda item number 24 is an appointment to the Planning and Zoning Commission. We're in need to fill the remainder of the term of Dr. Leroy Stroman. His term expires January 1st of 2029. So we do need to fill that, and that's an appointment by the City Council. And agenda item number 25, this is the first term notification that Joe Muller's term expires on the Airport Zoning Board of Adjustment. There's 5 members to that board, and those members are appointed by the City Council. Joe's term expires the 1st of August of this year. And then the final agenda item is agenda item number 26, and this is notification that Dolores Huemiller has resigned from the Library Board of Trustees. And so we need to fill the remainder of her term, which expires the 30th of June, 2026. And the trustees are appointed by the mayor, and those are 6-year terms. So I will be working on that one. So before we adjourn, yes, please join us for a Founder's Day weekend. So it is 5:50, and I entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
We have a motion and a second, the meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everyone.